All right, in just 5 days, Quad City native Roger Craig will be inducted into the NFL Hall of Fame. News 8 has spent months getting to know the local people who helped shape Roger's life, and one of those was Joe McElmore. Joe has been cutting hair in Davenport for more than 50 years, and he's really been the barber for the who's who in the Quad Cities. Joe remembers a young Roger Craig coming into his shop, trying to impress him as early as the 6th grade.
Well, Roger would get a haircut every now and then. Curtis would get most of the haircuts. His brother was the star before Roger. That's how I met Roger. Okay. And he would always come in and he tried to impress me. He would tell me, I'm in the 6th grade and I beat a freshman wrestling. I said, oh, you did? I wasn't really interested in him at the time. I was interested in Mr. Curtis Craig because he was a superstar. Roger, to me, was just a kid behind his brother, which I guess his brother was so important that this is why he probably became what he did, you know. Yeah. And a lot of people don't realize that sometimes you have to have inspiration, you know, a little guidance there. And I think Curtis was that guidance at the time.
You can catch that full story with Joe, as well as members of Roger's family, in about 2 hours. Tonight at 6:30, our sports team is airing a special on the Quad City football legend. And you can catch QC to Canton, the road to the Hall of Fame, all about Roger Craig exclusively on the News 8 streaming app. But sports director Kory Kuffler is here right now to give us a sneak peek. Hey, Kuff.
How are you? Yeah.
I'm doing great. Who did you talk to for this special? We heard from the barber, but I know that wasn't all.
No, you hear from the barber, and of course, I talked to his brothers, Artez and Curtis Craig, to get a little insight what it was like growing up. Roger is one of 7 children. He's got 2 brothers and then 4 sisters. So just like, what was that dynamic like growing up in the Quad Cities? They actually moved from Mississippi to the Quad Cities. So he's one person I talked to. I talked to a former coach that he had at Davenport Central and a few other people. We'll talk about them in a minute.
So your special is airing tonight. People can catch it for free on the News 8 app tonight and all week long. And then you guys are leaving on Wednesday for the Hall of Fame induction.
Yeah.
Who all is going to be there?
So as far as going out there, myself and Cesar Sanchez are going out there, photographer. So we're extremely excited about this. But he's going in with a cool class. Adam Vinatieri, Larry Fitzgerald, Luke Kuechly, and Drew Brees also going into the Hall of Fame. So his family's going to be out there. Roger's family's going to be out there. So there's going to be a lot of people out there supporting Roger for sure.
Okay, you said his mom is making the trip all the way out there?
She is. I talked to his brother Artez, and she said 91-year-old mom's going to make the trip. And why wouldn't you, right?
Yeah,
This
seriously.
Once in a lifetime opportunity.
We should also be really clear to people, when you watch the special, you will not be able to hear from Roger himself, and there is a reason for that.
Right. So I've talked to several people, including those out at the NFL Hall of Fame, and they said he's having some health issues, and they wouldn't expand any more than that. So that's just why he has not been able to talk to anybody in the media so far. Yeah.
That's okay. He's got to focus on this induction coming up this weekend.
Right.
But you talked to a lot more people, including, am I remembering this right, his childhood friends?
Childhood friends. So if anybody from Davenport Central back in the 70s remembers Jamie Williams, these 2 guys played football together from elementary school, junior high, high school, college, and then professionally. They even won a Super Bowl together back in 1989. Their footballs, their pictures are all up in the Davenport Central Hall of Fame right now. They're both in the Davenport Central Hall of Honor. So really cool to talk to him. He had some tremendous stories about Roger. They're really fun.
It's so cool to think about, you hear Joe, his barber, talking about how his older brother Craig pushed him, how his friends pushed him. It's so interesting to think about the people that were in his life when he was growing up in Davenport and how that led to where he is today.
Well, and the one thing about Roger is nobody would outwork Roger Craig. You know, that's the one thing, talking to all these people is like, what was Roger like? Well, very humble guy. I've talked to him several times at different events over the years, just being in the Quad Cities and working in the media here. Always a humble guy. He would never talk about himself, always about his team, always about what they were able to accomplish, not what he was able to accomplish. And that really came out in all the interviews that I did. Jamie was another guy. He had some really cool stories. If you go onto our WQAD app, the full-length interview, which was 30 minutes with him, was amazing. He had some really funny stories and some really good stories about Roger.
And you guys spend a lot of time talking about just how big of a deal and how historic this moment is. But for people that aren't clued into the football world, I mean, can you put into perspective how big this is?
This is one of one.
Yeah.
We've had so many players from the Quad Cities play in the NFL. Roger is the first to ever be inducted into the Hall of Fame. So this is a historic moment, and one that so many people think 20 years ago he should have been into the Hall of Fame. But for him, he's like, he never cared if he got in. If he got in, great. And I'm sure his speech on Saturday is going to be amazing.
Well, where all did he play after he left Davenport? Where was his road?
So he played Davenport Central, and then he went to Nebraska, played 3 years there. He was actually the 49ers' first draft pick in 1983. It was a second-round pick because they didn't have a first-round pick, but he got drafted by the Steelers, or excuse me, the 49ers in '83. Played there his entire career until he played with the Raiders for a year, and then he played for your Minnesota Vikings for 2 years.
I just wanted to hear you say
He
it.
retired, though. He went back to San Francisco, retired as a 49er. So I'm assuming that he's going to go in as a 49er.
It's safe to say.
Sorry for your Vikings, right?
I know in my heart. That's okay. Cuff, I know you guys have put in so much work for this. He's really been spending months working on this. We're so excited to see the special tonight.
It's going to be exciting. Tournament at 6:30 on the WQAD app.
Exactly. And you know what? I can tell you again, we got our streaming special about Davenport native and NFL Hall of Famer Roger Craig tonight at 6:30. You will hear from family and friends about his legendary career before he is inducted this weekend. That special is airing for free exclusively on the News 8 app. You can stream that on your phone or your TV. James?